Lucas comes up with hits, and Springer in a major bounce-back season. I mean, I don't think any of those could necessarily have been anticipated. I mean, you hoped that they would all be better, but I think they've gotten even more production than I think they even anticipated right now. And, it's made up for the fact that Vladdy's not quite been his best.
Okay, we dropped them. We're having a tough time here with Steve. It was late getting them, and we'll see if we can get them back.
But that's the point to pick up on with Vladdy.
Vladdy,
yeah.
You're a glass half full guy.
Yeah, I don't know what to expect from him in the second half. Like, to your point, like, he's never, outside of the 1 year, he's never been like a huge power guy.
Mm.
But this is like, doesn't Barger have as many home runs as he does?
Yeah, he's got 12.
And
like, there are guys who
has 39.
Yeah. The amazing thing about Raleigh is, like, he's having such a remarkable year.
Crazy.
And Judge is breathing down his neck in every category.
Did you see that stat with Judge with 350 homers?
No.
So he's the fastest player in MLB history to get to 350 homers. He's like 200 games ahead of Mark McGwire's pace. Isn't that insane?
Yeah. And yet he's in his 30s. Like, he didn't get to the bigs until he was 25. All right, Steve, we got you. And you were talking about Vladdy there, and that's a big conversation up here. Even with, again, the team being in the position they're in, the pressure's got to be on this guy to perform a lot better in the second half.
Yeah, it does, because at some point you have to expect regression toward the mean for some of the other guys. Right? They're going to fall back a little bit. The league's going to make an adjustment. And that's when Vladdy's going to have to put the team on his shoulders. You get $500 million. You got to carry the team you got to be the one leading the way, and then other guys to piggyback on top of what you're doing. And Bichette too, for that matter. He's in the walk year of the deal. He needs to hit for more power and give them that. And if those two guys can become, their best, then I think it takes so much pressure off everybody else. And I think that it can sustain this winning streak they've been on.
Yeah, they've been red hot. I mean, up until the last couple games, I guess, in Sacramento and the getaway game down in Chicago. They lost 3 or 4 coming home, but still they're sitting atop the American League East, and we're inching closer to the trade deadline, and that's the next conversation. Now that we're through, the draft last night, we expect Santander to return off the IL at some point, expect Varsho to return to the lineup at some point. What do you think is reasonable to expect Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro to do leading up to the trade deadline?
Yeah, I think they're going to focus on pitching. They've got production out of the bottom part of the lineup, and they expect Santander and Varsho to be back. They expect more from Vladdy. I think it's going to come down to adding one starting pitcher. And I think ideally I'd like it to be a more front-end guy and then, a lesser reliever. But if you can't get a front-end guy, a Zach Gallen or somebody like that, then I could get a depth piece just to protect with Scherzer and his health. And if Eric Lauer sort of falls off a little bit, and then I'd get a closer. I'd get Helsley from St. Louis. I'd get Emmanuel Clase from the Guardians. There's some talk that he could be available, and it's a couple of years of control there. But I think they've got to think big with it. And, if they don't get end-of-the-game relievers, I think I'd get 2. I think they need some help from the left side in the pen. But I think pitching's the way to go right now. And they've got to hope and expect that Santander and Varsho give them something more. Yeah,
and it's interesting you mentioned the closer, because we've been talking about the offseason moves that haven't done anything, Santander being one of them. Scherzer's been injured. Jimenez has done basically nothing at the plate. Yet Hoffman, has been healthy. He's got a 5 ERA. What is your read on what's up with him? Because he's not blowing a lot of saves. I think he's blown 4 saves so far, and he's available for them. But you get a guy in a position like that where his ERA is up over 5, that's trouble, and it's trending towards it being very troublesome once the lights are the brightest.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that, it's one thing that, you're dicey in the regular season. You may blow a game here and there in the regular season. You want predictability in the playoffs, that you've got a lead, you're going to close it out, you're going to get the win. Because, one blown save in the playoffs costs you a series, and you can't afford to do that. And that's why I prefer to get the closer, move Hoffman to the 7th inning, 8th inning. It's really where he's been most of his career as opposed to the 9th. And that way you've got some depth, you've got some options in case, your other closer is used 3 days in a row and you need to bring in Hoffman, you can do it. I just want to take the burden off him. I just don't see him as necessarily that lockdown guy, and I think they need to find one.
So we'll get you out of here with a question about the American League East in general, because the Jays have just won 10 in a row. They're sitting atop the division. The Yankees are 2 games back. The Sox just wrapped up 10 wins in a row, which obviously that winning streak will continue post-break. Where do you project this going? Blue Jays, Yankees, Red Sox, the Rays are sputtering, but they've been pretty good this year. Like, how many teams do you think make the playoffs, and who do you think wins the division?
Yeah, I think you've got a chance to have 4 teams in the American League East make the playoffs.
Wow.
I do. I think Tampa Bay, Toronto, Boston, and the Yankees. You know, I don't really believe in Seattle. I don't think anybody else in the Central is going to put them. And I think Tampa Bay is really good. Now, I think the Blue Jays can hold on and win this division. But I think a general manager may decide who wins the division and who's the wild card teams and how they line up accordingly, right? So the Yankees, you know, they need to fortify their pitching with some of the injuries they've had. They could use some bullpen help as well. The Red Sox need more pitching too, and I think they're going to let the young kids play. Tampa Bay, they're already starting to fortify the bullpen. They got the Baker kid from the Orioles, and I think they're going to focus more on pitching as well. So I think the general managers in this division are going to decide the order in which they finish, because I think they're that closely matched.
Always great catching up with you, Steve. We'll do it again soon.
Terrific, guys. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Steve Phillips, our TSN Baseball Insider, joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Drive the built-in Canada fuel-efficient, fun-to-drive Toyota RAV4. Gas or hybrid models available. Visit mapletoyota.com. That's an interesting way to phrase it, that the GM will determine who wins and who doesn't. Like, when you're that close, you know, like it's a 5.5 game spread between the Jays and the Rays, with the Yankees and Red Sox in between. Lots of baseball left to be played. 70 games. What do you do? Like, famously in 15, that's when the Jays were 50 and 51, and Anthopoulos put all his chips in the middle and said, we're going to get Price, we're going to go get Tulowitzki.
Was that the Josh Johnson?
No, that was in.
Was that the year?
12 or 13. That's when
earlier?
they got Burley and they got Reyes, and in 15 was when Donaldson had arrived.
I love the aggressive approach, as you know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I get it. I mean, that team went to an ALCS. They ended up carrying it over, went to the ALCS in 16 as well. I think that team was better than this team. Like, top to bottom, yes. They were a better team. But, yeah, I agree with them in terms of pitching. I think that's what they're going to attack. You know, try to find another arm for your rotation, load up on an arm or two in the bullpen, and hope that this offense that you've seen will only improve. With Vladdy getting better, Bichette could be better. Santander and Varsho return. That's your team.
I was going to ask you, who would be your game 1 starter today? Barrios?
Yeah, I think Barrios. I think I'd go Barrios, Gausman,
Bassett.
Yes, I mean, Scherzer is intriguing to me. Like, what is he?
If he's healthy, he might be your game 1 starter.
Like, if he's healthy and he's got stuff, like he is alive and his arm is alive and he looks, because you know, like, he is built for a moment like that.
He's like a big game pitcher as like it gets.
Yeah.
But like, that's like old him.
Right, but
not old him.
Like, modern baseball, like, starters, they want you to go twice through the rotation. That's what they're asking for. Like, basically, get me.
Famously here.
Yeah, exactly. Barrios out. Who was it? Kikuchi that went in.
It didn't go.
Didn't go so well. But that's the way it goes. I mean, you basically say, can you give us 3 innings, 4 innings, and then we're going to hand it over to the bullpen anyway. So it's not like you're looking for Scherzer to give you some masterpiece, 115 pitch, 8 inning, Kurt Schilling type outing. You're just saying, can you give me 75 pitches strong and get out? I think it's possible it's him.
Don't you feel like there will be pressure on the front office to actually have playoff success this year? Like, obviously that's built in, but they've been here a really long time, and they've won nothing? No games.
0 playoff games.
0 playoff games?
0 playoff games.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like...
I hear you. I mean, I think it would be valuable to their resume if they picked up a wild card win. Maybe you lose in game 3 instead of game 2. But they've been in the playoffs twice. Well, it's a little bit deceiving because Shapiro was here in 16.
But that was like Anthopoulos.
I know,
16.
exactly. So if you start the clock in 17 and move on, they've been in the playoffs twice, and they lost both in 2, right? The Twins in Seattle.
Yeah.
I remember that Seattle game. They were winning 8-1, I think, and they lost 10-8 or 9-8. Remember that game where they just threw it away? And I think Alek Manoah, was he pitching? He was pitching game 1 of that series. He had a rehab start. Didn't go so well. But it's kind of interesting that he is like back on the mound and registering a box score at a minimum. Like Alek Manoah is back in the Blue Jays universe. The likelihood of him ever pitching for this team again, I would say, is incredibly thin. But it'll be that's the ultimate redemption story. Like if he could ever battle his way back to the majors and perform, forget getting back to where you were expected to be the ace for the next decade. Just be a guy who makes it and pitches.
Yeah.
That'd be a really cool story.
This is not a perfect comparison, but do you remember Rick Ankiel?
Yeah, of course. Pitcher turned hitter.
Right. And like he he flamed out, if I recall, as a pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
And then he came back as an outfielder and like hit for power.
He played like
and
he
was
was a
good.
Cardinal.
And I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a cool story.
So maybe he should become a shortstop.
You think Manoah should start swinging the bat, become a power? What is he? I don't know what he hits. Left, right, switch hitter? Who knows? All right, Keegan Matheson in about an hour. Luke Wilson coming up as well. The Argos had a bye week this week. Sounds like Chad Kelly, though, right around the corner. We'll catch up with Luke, get his take on that, what else he's seen throughout the CFL. Rookies reporting for camps throughout the NFL, and ESPN just released their top